Welcome back to part 2 of our Brew With Us series with Jacob Liddle of Jiddler'S Tipple. We are here at Renegade Brewery and Taproom.
We are, and we are seeing Jacob today because it's been a couple of weeks since we brewed that version of Nimbus, the hazy IPA that he's given us the recipe for. And actually, we've brewed our own version and we're going to taste it side by side against the real thing with Jacob.
We are back, but we're not at Jacob's house. We are in Yattendon.
That's right. We are here at Renegade Brewery. They're one of my production partners alongside By the Horns. Nimbus was first brewed at By the Horns back last May, a 2,000 litre batch, and the new batch for Sainsbury's, which is about 10 times as big, is being brewed here at Renegade.
Jacob, I have to say, it's a fantastic partner for you to have. You know, Rob and I neither of us, shamefully, have been to Renegade before, but having spent time today being shown around, seeing the facility here, seeing the level of production that goes into brewing beer here, what a partner to be working with. They are awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just saying to Rob earlier, I actually came and saw them in 2020 when I just started Jiddler'S Tipple and was looking for potential production partners, and the scale of the place sort of took me by surprise. I was like, wow, they're really producing a lot of beer here. And at that point wasn't right for Jiddler'S Tipple, but you know, fast forward 3 years after that and I'd hit the levels of production that I needed to work with a brewing partner like this.
So at the end of the last video, Jacob, you told me to put my best brewing hat on, which I've got right here, which I am going to put on, my special CLS hat.
Let's see if it helps.
Let's see if it helps, although I'm a little bit... I can't take all the credit for the brewing because pretty much James did everything as far as the brewing and packaging of this beer is concerned. But
well, that's a good way of skirting responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, it's James's fault. So just before we taste them side by side, how did brewing the beer go?
Yeah, it was good. I've got a tilt which sits in the fermenter. You can see it fermenting and the gravity dropping. Took about 2 to 3 days for the main portion of fermentation to finish. Went on to the diacetyl rest and sort of dropped those last kind of 3 to 4 gravity points. Left it in total, that first fermentation time, for about a week. Dropped the temperature down to about 16 degrees just so a lot of the yeast could start dropping out. And then cropped the yeast and dry hopped with the Nectaron Idaho 7 Mosaic Nelson Sauvin with a sort of painted dry hop technique.
Okay, so don't remember to use the Jiddler'S Tipple painted turbo shake it up dry hopping technique. There you go.
It works a charm, and there's probably...
We're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah, well, did you use any specific sort of dry hopping techniques, any shaking or?
Put some hops in.
Yeah.
Rouse them. Use CO2.
Just the normal CO2 method.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to show.
Our brew went really well. Hit original gravity, spot on. It didn't ferment quite as low as maybe the planned numbers would have suggested.
Yeah.
Although actually we'll come on to tasting it in a minute, but you know, we went through diacetyl rest exactly the same. Dry hopped. I used my preferred technique when it comes to dry hopping, which is adding a single dose of ALDC, so avoiding diacetyl formation based on hop creep. And yeah, we'll see how it tastes. Fermentation was exactly the same, about a week. You know, then we ramped the temperature a couple of degrees just for a few days to get through the initial diet rest. Then cooled it back down, dry hopped, left it for I think 72 hours on hops before we kegged it.
Yeah.
So actually, this is going to be really interesting because we've got 3 versions here to taste. We've got the version that we homebrewed at your house.
Yeah.
We've got the version that James brewed at Malt Miller, but we've also got the version that's been brewed here
At Renegade.
Yeah. So we can taste all 3, find out where the differences are.
Nice.
Right, should we get some beer?
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Okay, fellas, we have 3 glasses each in front of us. I know which ones are which, you don't. So I think
Here we
we
go.
should dive in and start having a little bit of a taste and a sniff and see what we think. Let's start on our right, your left, and work our way through. See if we can pick out which is the commercial, see if we can pick out whose homebrew is each.
Cool.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Wow.
Super hot aroma, man. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Just smells like fruit juice.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, just lots of peach, kind of pineapple.
Really saturated.
It's got a nice, slightly dank
Yeah.
note to it as well, though.
That really carries on in the flavour as well.
Yeah.
Really.
Let's move on to the next one.
Right, so we've got a colour difference here.
I'm going to put my neck out and say I know. I imagine that's the Renegade one, partly because part of the quality control process here is centrifuging the beer, which draws out a lot of the yeast and ultimately makes a more shelf-stable product. That does pull out some of the particulates and other things within stasis in the liquid, which removes some of this lovely milky haze.
Yeah. Still smells fantastic.
Yeah, but the aroma is still there.
Yeah. It's actually a more rounded flavour as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a more, it's got more balance to it than this one.
Yeah, it's I think the carbonation on this is a little light as well, whereas this is the carbonation is a bit hard, so it has an almost like smoother mouthfeel.
Okay, let's move on to this side. So just putting up the 2 homebrews side by side, colour is pretty much identical on those.
Yeah, those are very similar, aren't they? Now, actually, the this one I'm getting a little, almost like a bit more of a grassy note on the nose than I am on the one on the right, alongside the fruitiness.
Still, just that dank tropical fruit thing all the way through.
That grain bill is absolutely fantastic.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's really full in the mouth. It's got real.
It's just like velvet on the tongue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely,
Well,
pillowy now.
That
Feel.
addition of the maltodextrin, you know,
Yeah.
that's such a great touch and something I'm going to be using more on my hazy pales to add that little bit of extra body to make it drink a bit bigger, you know?
Yeah. And I think the complexity of adding 2 types of oat in there, you've got oat and also the Simpsons Golden Naked Oat adds just that slight bit of depth on the malt bill.
All 3, before we jump into like which one which, all 3 are outstanding, and you know, I think they all represent the same beer. You know, they're of the same recipe, of the same family.
Yeah.
Which for you, Jacob, you know, as the designer of the recipe,
Yeah.
that must be an amazing thing to kind of,
Yeah.
you know, reflect on.
Yes. And that's the interesting thing about brewing, is you can start with the same ingredients and still get slightly like variations between brews.
Do you know this beer? So the differences between, obviously we know this is the commercial beer. It's more juice and slightly less dank than the others, and it does just make it a more, I said before, it makes it more rounded.
Maybe a bit more easygoing.
Yeah.
Right, so I think we've all decided, we know that the one in the middle is the one that's been brewed here at Renegade, and it is fantastic. I think very much so. If you are making a trip out to the shops, get Sainsbury's, get some in, or follow the links below to pick up some cans.
Yeah.
What I want to dive into is the
Which is
homebrew
which?
versions. Which is your favourite out of the 2 homebrew versions?
I would say I find that the fruit profile has actually come through a bit more on the aroma for me on the one on the right.
Okay.
As I said, I think this is almost a bit more dank and grassy, a bit more carbonation on that one as well. I'm gonna put my neck out and say, because of the patented dry hop shake technique, that maybe the fruitiness has come out a little bit more in the one on the right, but I don't know.
Okay. Robert?
I'm picking up. There are differences between the two, but they're variances rather than like small nuances in flavour.
I think the mouthfeel is actually very similar on both.
Yeah, it is.
It's
the carbonation on this one is higher, and that obviously affects mouthfeel and how you actually perceive the beer as a flavour. So that's the difference as well. Head retention's both pretty much the same. I don't know whether I can actually stick my neck out and say that I've got a favourite because they're so close.
Well, you're going to have to.
I prefer this one. Okay, I prefer this one because I do prefer, and I always have done, really dank hop flavour rather than really bright fruit. So that's why I would choose that one.
Okay.
Well, the judges have voted, and it is a split decision because, Jacob, you've picked your beer that you...
I have.
You
Oh, great. There you go.
successfully managed to pick out your patented dry hopping technique, which
I told you.
we see lots of people replicating on social media in the coming months.
But I don't recommend if you have back issues. And don't do it if you've had a few drinks as well.
Rob, you've chosen the beer that I brewed. Yeah.
There you go. Well, that really says it all, doesn't it?
I'm really impressed actually that they can be, both these homebrew versions can be brewed in exactly the same way on totally different kit. Exactly the same recipe, same water profile, completely different kit. How close they can be.
Well, you say completely the same water profile. I might have
Come on then.
showed my flair a little bit.
Oh, come on then.
What have you done? Have you messed around with my water profile?
Well, I used 100% RO water,
Yeah.
and I used my water profile that I use for hazy pale ales.
The patented James water profile.
Well, it's not necessarily patented to me. There might have been a few people that have had a hand in it over the last 6 months or so, but actually sulfates are 9 parts per million.
Oh, wow.
Chlorides are 228.
Wow.
So
Okay.
super soft,
Yeah.
super pillowy.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, they're all bloody delicious. So, and well done, thanks.
Thank you.
Trying these beers side by side has been absolutely fascinating. Let's just for a moment concentrate on the commercial beer. The amount of work that goes into evolving this recipe so it works on a large commercial system must have been really interesting, but also thrown up some problems and hiccups along the way. Can you tell us about those and your experiences?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously really important. There's lots of different factors which come into play when you're choosing a production partner or any business partner. And ultimately working with someone who's flexible, has good quality control, and obviously price is very important as well. All those come into consideration.
Well, and also here at Renegade, they're really sustainable, aren't they?
Yes, I mean that was a big draw actually when we started working with them. Is so if you see the roof, they've got tons of solar panels up there. 40% of the energy they use to produce the beer here is from solar power, which is just fantastic because it helps reduce our carbon footprint. And we offset 25% more carbon than we produce, so actually we don't need to do as much of that to offset our footprint because it's already done through working with Renegade. Actually, interestingly, it'd probably be worthwhile having a chat with my account manager at Renegade, Chris, because he'll be able to give a great insight into what it's like working with Jiddler'S Tipple as well.
Cool. Right, let's go meet him.
Hey Rob, really good to see you, mate.
Nice to meet you, and thank you very much for showing us around and behind the scenes at this amazing brewery and grounds. What a place to work.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're really lucky actually because as you can tell, we're in the middle of nowhere. We've got a huge amount of space, fantastic modern brewery. It's just fantastic to be here.
Right, what I really want to dial down into is what it's been like working with Jacob, and kind of what was the relationship? How did it work out?
Yeah, well, I think we met probably, about 18 months ago, roughly, something like that, when we had the first kind of conversations. And it was always apparent, even from the very beginning, that he's got a lot of knowledge around beer. Developed an awful lot of information, done some amazing courses, and really built up a fantastic knowledge base, which we don't always see with some of our contract customers, particularly the ones who are kind of starting out from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting and exciting and different. You have, and you continue to have, lots of ideas about how you want to do things and beers you want to brew, and obviously we've been trying to help you out with that as much as we possibly can. And I think it's been really interesting to see somebody with so much passion, and working with Jake and obviously Alice and the rest of the team. I just think it's been a really, really interesting experience for me. To see how Jacob and the business has developed over the last, since we've been working with for about, like I said, about 12 months or so, a bit longer.
Yeah.
And it's just gone from strength to strength, and it's really good to see the volume of beer going up so quickly and going to some amazing customers as well. I think it's been really fascinating to see that growth.
That I think has helped though is when we first started working together, heard a bit more about your background working and growing a gin business.
Yeah, exactly. So
that, I think from my side has been really helpful, because you've sort of seen the coin from both sides as well.
Yeah, so
you know what it's like running and growing a small business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and all the kind of difficulties and kind of working, and I'm sure you are working 7 days a week, trying to do everything.
Yeah.
I completely get where you're coming from with that, and it's really great to have a facility like this to kind of help you to grow the brands. I didn't have that with the gin distillery; it was quite small.
Yeah.
But you've gone about it in a really interesting way, which I think has been really successful for you, and that's taking some fantastic beers that you developed and then getting them scaled up to full production.
Yeah.
And having great success with it.
Yeah, and actually sort of going back to the working with me and maybe the working in different ways, but actually despite your size, you've been pretty flexible, or as flexible as you can be in the ways we've worked. For instance, with Nimbus, we've actually debuted a cask range as well with Nimbus as well, which has been really exciting for me, because actually that's the bit I get most excited about when I go to the pub, is seeing some casks. And we've had Nimbus and also Everyday available in cask over the last few weeks, which has been awesome. Yeah,
I mean, you hear all this kind of difficult stuff around, cask going down in volume every year by 1 or 2%. But there are some niche products out there that are doing really phenomenally well. And obviously we use now moving into cask and expanding that kind of different SKU and that different range to people, particularly in London, but I know you're kind of selling elsewhere as well. Having that cask beer kind of growing for you, I think is fantastic. And I think the more people are exposed to different kinds of cask beers and try them and start to kind of explore them a little bit more, the more that volume alive. Hopefully at some point that dip will go and we'll start going back up again.
We're bringing it back.
We're really passionate about that as well, and I know you are too.
This whole story of a home brewer upscaling to large commercial production using a partner such as Renegade, what an awesome story. And thanks again, Chris, for letting us be here, showing us around, and thanks to Jacob as well, because your story is absolutely fascinating. Cheers.
Well, look, that brings us to the close, Jacob. First and foremost, thank you so much for sharing not only the recipe for Nimbus, but your incredible backstory, your motivation, and the way you've gone around setting up Jiddler'S Tipple as a brand. It's been fantastic.
Guys, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. For anyone at home who fancies picking up some Jiddler'S Tipple, there's a few ways you can do it. You can get it now at Tesco's nationwide, Sainsbury's, on Ocado, and also if you fancy doing something a little bit more interactive, you can buy the recipe kit for Nimbus via the Malt Miller website alongside some Jiddler'S Tipple Nimbus, and do a home comparison. But yeah, what a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Cheers.